So today I want to talk about something subtle but incredibly powerful that you can use in sales conversations. They're what I like to call wiggle words. These are words like typically or generally and many more. They let you answer questions clearly without boxing yourself in. They give you room to maneuver because sometimes when a client asks you something directly, you don't have all the data yet or you don't want to sound absolute. And that's where wiggle words come in. They help you sound confident, but you also remain flexible. Hi, I'm Brian, founder of That Business Trainer, creator of the Sales Framework, where we help salespeople sell more, sell larger, and sell faster deals without sounding salesy, without being cheesy, without being a loud salesperson, always be closing. Perfect for introverts, perfect for those new to sales, or even for people for whom sales isn't their profession, but they need to sell, like many a consultant or solopreneur out there has found out. They have to sell to do the work. Anyway, back to wiggle words. In consultative selling, certainty can actually backfire. If you sound too sure too soon, it can make clients feel like you're pushing an agenda instead of exploring theirs. But if you sound unsure or hesitant, you might lose your authority. Also, you may say something with certainty that may backfire or be used against you later, and we want to avoid that. So there is a middle ground, and it's found in the language that you choose. Wiggle words allow you to stay in that middle ground, confident, informed, but still open. Let me show you a few of the most powerful ones and how to use them. The first one is typically. It's my favorite, as anyone who knows me will tell you. You can use it anytime you're describing what usually happens, but you're not promising that it always happens. For example, you could say something like, typically our clients start to see results within about 60 days. You have not said the client will receive results or see results within 60 days. You've just said, typically that's what happens. It's confident, but it leaves space for exceptions. It leaves space if they push back. Really? That seems quick. You can always respond with, of course, every situation is different. What kind of timeline were you looking at? You stay in control without being rigid. Typically is probably my go-to wiggle word, followed closely by generally. Generally is great when you're describing patterns or norms, things that are true most of the time, but may not be true all of the time. So generally, when teams implement the framework, the first thing they notice isn't more deals, it's better quality conversations. And then if somebody pushes back or disagrees on that, you can easily pivot to whatever the other viewpoint is. Well, it's been true for most of the teams I've worked with. What's your experience, or what were you expecting? Now, instead of defending a definitive statement, I don't like to draw lines in the sand. In wiggle words, avoid that. When you draw a line in the sand, you're asking for an argument, you're asking for trouble. So I don't have to defend my statements. I'm staying in dialogue. That's the power of words like generally. Another one would be in most cases. So this one lets you give reassurance without making guarantees. So in most cases, when we've worked with teams of your size, we've seen measurable increases in qualified opportunities within only a few weeks. So now, that can go anywhere. They could ask about the cases where it didn't go in. You could talk about, great, that adoption took a bit longer. What's your situation been when you put in new processes? You stay honest. You stay credible. You stay real. You're still in conversation. Yeah, in most cases works very well. In most cases. Another one would be from what I've seen. Again, one of my favorites. It's personal, it's grounded in your experience, but it's not absolute. From what I've seen, when deals stall at the proposal stage, it's usually because the internal decision process isn't mapped out clearly. You're not lecturing, you're sharing insight. And if their internal process is mapped out clearly, no harm, no foul. You just said, from what I've seen, that's what usually or typically happens, but from what I've seen. So By sharing insights, you help avoid this definitive. You're just saying your opinion of what you've seen, and somebody else's could be different. They could respond differently. They could say, that's interesting. How does it tend to play out? So you invite collaboration instead of debate. So let's do another one would be it tends to, or it often. These phrases describe patterns. They sound factual, but as a matter of fact, they're flexible. So you could use a statement like, when salespeople try to close too early, it often creates resistance instead of momentum. Doesn't mean it is that way. We're just saying it often is that way, or it tends to be that way. It's not confrontational. The other thing it's not is a guess. It's a calm, pattern-based observation, which is exactly the tone we want in consultative selling, but it allows for dialogue. So, there are plenty of other softeners, wiggle words that fit into that category. People use phrases like, well, it sounds like, and then they go down the path, or it might be that, and then they talk. Because again, it might be, it might not be. My experience has been, which is very similar to, it looks like, or one way to look at it would be this. And then you are just putting forth one position, and somebody could have another one, which means you can go down and explore that path, as opposed to saying this is how it is. I use this all the time, especially when people ask for things like, or if they ask like payments, like, oh, do I have to pay this all up front? Well, I would love to say yes, you do. But I want to remain flexible because I'm not going to kill the deal if somebody doesn't have all the money right now. I would say typically, when somebody signs up, they pay immediately and we get working. Why do you ask? And then we go to whatever they know. Oh, well, I'm not going to have enough money till whatever. Now we're talking about, again, we're back to previous videos where we talked about logistics versus value. Maybe they don't have the money. Maybe a deposit is all we're going to need to get this going. Maybe we could break this into payments for them. Every situation's unique. So I don't want to draw that line in the sand, but I have told them typically this what happens. And so most of the time, that's what will happen now. So these statements reduce friction. That's what we want. They also show humility. They invite collaboration. They make your message easier to hear. The goal of using these wiggle words is not for you to avoid commitment. It's to stay in conversation. They keep it open. They keep it curious. They keep it human, all while sounding professional and confident. These are not words that are going to leave you feeling less than confident or leave your client feeling less than confident. In most cases. Because in sales, we don't build trust through perfect answers. And we've talked about this before. The best words you can use to raise your client's confidence in you are I don't know. And if you haven't seen that, we should watch another video. That trust is built through flexible, thoughtful conversations. So next time you're tempted to sound certain, try sounding smart instead. Use a wiggle word. And of course, if you'd like to learn how to stay calm, confident, and consultative in every sales conversation, check out our sales framework sometime. There should be some links below if we have a workshop coming up, or you can always contact me if you have a specific situation. Anyway, we'll see you in the next video.